time.
Hello,
baby.
everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Puck Dynasty, part of the Fantasy Hockey Hacks team. I'm here with Evan Debert today. I'm Ryan Black. How you doing, Ev?
I'm doing good. It's Sunday night, so not as fun as our Friday night episodes, but it's been a good weekend.
Yeah, tomorrow's a holiday. I'm not so bad.
Is it?
It's
Not for me.
Yeah,
I'm
Reconciliation Day, man. It's
Yeah.
not for you. Not for you. I'm
Yeah.
excited because what do we got? Like 5 days till the regular season? Is Friday night the first games?
No,
You don't know.
that seems.
I'm pretty
early.
sure. Let's see. The preseason ends on October the 3rd, by the looks of it. Oh, 4th. I don't know when the first day of the season is.
I think it's
this
next
week.
week, man.
Next week? Is that right?
Yeah, global
Looks like
series.
This is
Wait,
stuff
wait,
we
wait,
should really
wait,
have
wait.
sorted out before we record.
Wait.
I thought
Hold
there were. Oh yeah, you might be right. I think it's 9 days. We're under double digits. October 9th, October 8th. Oh no, games start on the 4th. Yeah,
No
Friday.
shit.
No shit.
Huh.
Sabres Devs Friday and Saturday. Those are the only games, and then there's nothing till Tuesday. But regular season starts on Friday, so we're there. We made it. Congratulations on another summer, pal. What a waste
Luckily-
of time summer is.
Luckily, I don't have like a schedule to clear for Friday. It's like, hey, my Friday night's open. It's a shocker. So,
To be
Yeah,
single
that's-
again.
that's a wild turn of events for me. I thought it was still another 10 days or so. Sweet.
Well, congratulations, pal. I don't. Do you own? I don't think you're a holder of many Saber. I guess no. You dumped Krebs. What do you got? You got Levi. No Devils.
Levi,
not that exciting for you.
Devils.
Well, there you go. Anyways, we have got a lot to get into, so let's dive right into it. We're going to start off with just some around the NHL notes, and let's talk about one of the worst nights in Montreal Canadian history, and that would have been Saturday, September 28th. Dun dun dun. That just an awful night. They at one point Laine, Reinbacher, and Slavkovsky were all yanked from the lineup. Now, Slav came back, but Laine and Reinbacher, they haven't announced anything today, but it's not looking good. And man, does this change what was looking to be a bit of a turnaround season for Montreal, hey?
Yeah, it was. Well, and that was all in the first period, in a matter of.
It was in the first 5 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
Wow.
And it actually, like, with the way the Habs have been acting over, like, dancing in the street off of preseason wins and all that, it's like they were tempting fate or something. But
That's not fair.
oh,
not
I
fair.
know I'm being hyperbolic, but it's
Hyperbolic.
yeah, however you want to call it. But that was brutal. Just the way Laine's knee bent.
And honestly, he's one of those. I've never been a huge Laine fan, but man, he was an easy to root for story this year. Like, bouncing back from all the personal issues, came into camp in great shape, was looking good, and then this, it's just you feel for the guy, man. It sucks. As for Montreal dancing in the street, I'm gonna say something about that because as a Oilers fan who was very passionate during the decade of darkness, preseason's a fun time when you got prospects finally making that next step. In between Demidov and Hudson, and they had Kapanen looking good and Beck's looking good. I didn't hear many Montreal fans saying we're a lock for the playoffs, but there was hope. But more than anything, I think they've all just been really hyped to see that Lane Hudson can do what they hoped he'd be able to do. It's similar to Michkov fans right now. You're all just happy to see your guy can do it against NHLers, right?
Yeah, and winning games and just kind of raising the tide in Philly. So yeah, no, I get it with Habs fans and all that.
It's been a rough go for them. Rough night for Montreal. This does open up a potential roster spot for one of the aforementioned Owen Beck or Kapanen, because if Laine is out long term, that makes room. So that's a big opportunity for Joshua Roy too. Hey,
That's who I was thinking. I was thinking Roy up there. He's earned it more than the other guys so far, and um, yeah, I think he'd be a good fit, and then Kapanen would be nice on that third line.
oh yeah, and I don't think Kapanen or Beck is taking Laine's spot in the second line. It's just another roster spot opens for them to actually make the team. Whereas before,
I just
the
worry that
numbers
it's
game was-
like Roy and Newhook. It's like
yeah, it's not a great, and you got Doc in the middle for now until how many games in he's not there anymore.
to be honest, so the Habs, it's not their year anyways. Like that division is so hard to make it into the playoffs from there too. So all they want is just they just need a trajectory of just kind of like getting better, and then and then they'll pounce once everyone kind of all comes together at the same age.
Yeah, if I'm the Habs, I want to be in the bottom eight this year again, man. What a start for the bottom eight or for the top eight of the NHL 25 draft, hey?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Malone is killing it. Misa's leading the OHL in scoring. You got McQueen leading the dub in scoring. Like it's absolutely drool worthy for those 2025s right now. It's looking very, very good. And that certainly is something we will be talking about as the year goes on. But like,
and all forwards too, which is nice. So
they've got some D up. There's three
well,
D men in
Schaefer's
that top eight
kind
as
of
well.
the only upper echelon, and he's not even that offensive. He's more of a two-way defenseman. But yeah, nothing in the mold of like elite offensive defenseman. I can't see coming out of the draft so far, but it's still early.
It's really early, and you know what? In all honesty, we always see this where the D-men all rise on draft day. You know, like it's those D-men are a lot harder to find. Like you got Henslers in that group. Who else am I missing? There's one more D. Schaefer. Haven't heard much about Frundell yet this year, but yeah, there's some good D. We'll see how it ends up. But anyways, the higher end guys, those higher end forwards, are all off to very exciting starts, which is amazing. Let's talk about Drew Doughty, and I'm gonna apologize for a second here. We might sound giddy at times over injuries due to loving the chance to see some young guys get some ice they maybe wouldn't have. It sucks to see guys get hurt. I'm a huge Drew Doughty fan. I love beating him every year in the playoffs as an Oilers fan, but I like him as a player. It sucks, but having said that, it is Brandt Clarke time in LA, and I am so excited to see what this guy does this year. Hey.
Yeah, it couldn't work out better for him to just kind of get thrusted into that, and yeah, and he doesn't have to look over his shoulder while doing it. So, the only competition he'll really have for that spot is Jordan Spence. So I think they'll roll with Clarke because he is the future of that blue line. And yeah, it's gonna work too. Like just the way that LA power play is going to be moving the puck around, and he'll be setting up Kemper Kempe, and yeah, and Fiala. That'll be a nice umbrella.
Yeah, he really needs to hit and stick. Like Doughty will be back. He's month to month right now, so let's call it January when he comes back. Clarke needs to make sure that he's irreplaceable in that PP role, and then that'll be the last of PP1 for Doughty if Clarke can get a stranglehold on that in the meantime. But still a rough go. Sucks. We hate to see it. But I'm excited for Clarke.
Makes me wonder for Doughty too. It's like, because I'm sure he would have been in contention for the Four Nation as well. So I wonder if that kind of kicks him out for that tournament.
Yeah, I did see a tweet about it that said he should be back for that, and Canada would he's the kind of D that Canada's going to need a lot of, because of all those teams, we are the ones who are going to need to protect our goalie the most. So guys like Doughty, Pietrangelo, we want those guys. Like, we can sacrifice on the offensive side. We need guys who can hold their own in their own end to have a shot there, I think.
So yeah, you got those two guys. You got Makar and Taves. So that's a solid top four, or 4 of 6.
It's Team Canada. I would hope it's a solid top 6. JJ Peterka lining up in Buffalo. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this guy, man. I actually just finished a draft, and he got sniped one pick before me. I was taking him in like round 9, I think it was. I was like, it's unfortunate. Of all the guys you're looking to take a step forward this year, Peterka's up there. His ice time is looking to be money. He is looking great in the preseason. I do expect all of Buffalo to have a better year, and that's from Tage Thompson to Dylan Cousins to Jack Quinn, assuming he can play 50 or more games. I think that Zach Benson's going to take a step forward. Like, Buffalo is a very exciting team, and really they just need UPL to just do the same thing he did last year, and they should improve all around, especially considering the age of their D.
Yeah, well, I think for goaltending tandem, because Levi's look great in the preseason too. They're going to be rolling with the tandem eventually. There, it'll be very similar to what Boston was going with, and then in regard to Peterka, I just think he's going to be Tage's Robin. Like, he works really well with them. The points are going to come. He can play both ends of the puck, and so he's surprisingly the cream has risen to the top for all those young players, and he's taken it. He's taken the spot.
I don't know that we're done seeing where the cream settles yet, to be honest, when it comes to Buffalo. Right now, Peterka's at the top, but even as like a very big Peterka fan, I don't know how long he'll hold PP1 and line 1, just because with Quinn, I still think Jack Quinn is amazing. Benson
Quinn will be
is
on
fair.
PP1 too.
Yeah, well,
And he could probably play like Tuck's time on line 1 is
Tuck's
limited.
time on PP1 is coming to an end.
Yeah, and
Tuck's
and
time on
line
line
1
1 is coming to an end. Yeah,
maybe, he's a good two-way force, but Peterka does that too. He plays both sides of the puck, so it's
he's very good.
I think he's gonna be surprisingly gonna be, in my opinion, he's gonna be top line everything in Buffalo, and then you'll have guys like Quinn come up, and then but yeah, no, just from what I've seen, and you were way bigger on him earlier on than I was, and even up until
after the Worlds
the end of last
year.
season.
Yeah, at the beginning of last season, he was before the season started, he was unbelievable in that tournament, and it was just really clear he was ready to take the next step.
Yeah,
and then Buffalo kind of held him back for the first 3 quarters of the season. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Buffalo not having him into a deal before the puck drops on this season is such a monumental misstep. I don't know what the heck they're thinking. They've got, I was reading up on this a couple days ago. I think they've got like 30 million free against the cap next year. And like, they do have some contracts to sign. Quinn is up, Peterka's up, but it's like, lock up the guys who you're about to hand the keys to the car to. Like, lock them up, because they're not going to get cheaper. What kind of season would Peterka have to not get 7 million next year? It's not going to happen. Anyways, doesn't matter. That's a mistake. They'll regret it. My GM services are available to any NHL GMs who may be listening out there. Next, we're going to talk about the Perfetti contract. What are your thoughts on that, buddy?
I thought it was kind of perfect. I think Friedman nailed it when he was comparing it to the Pinto contract, and that's basically exactly what he got. It's still a prove it. He gets paid some decent dough, 3.25 for 2 years, and I think Perfetti's still a 60, 70 point guy in this league. Yeah, he's going to be stuck second line in Winnipeg, but at least he'll have some center help coming up with Braden Yeager, and depending on what they do with Ehlers here. But no, I like Perfetti. I think he still has good potential. He's due for a bounce back year this year.
Needs to stay healthy. I don't like the contract just because, again, same thing as the Harley deal. I just think that if you believe in the player, and I believe Perfetti at worst is a top 6 player, I'm with you on that. By the time he comes up for contract, the cap's going to be up $10 million, because that's as far as it can rise in the next 2 years. or I guess it's probably closer to 9. What is it? 5% of the cap. So it'll go up another $9 million before his next contract has to be negotiated. It's like he'll be more than a $3.125 million player by then, just like Harley. And like, get term on these contracts. I would much sooner sign Perfetti for 5 or 6 years for 5 or 6 million than 2 years at 3. And I do wonder if that wasn't the sticking point, but getting these young guys signed is how you save money down the road. And realistically, the Jets should be looking at a window for the next, 4 or 5 years for sure.
Yeah, rarely a player like him, like Ehlers. I think it was a second contract that was the 6 years times, whatever it was, 5.5, 6 million, and it paid off. And he hasn't even really done that well compared to what you thought he would do. So
And it still paid off.
and it still paid off.
Yeah.
So it's like it rarely blows up in your face when you're in that mid range. Like once you're into the sevens, so like Dylan Cousins, for example, like if he doesn't progress, if he has similar years like he had last year, that's not a great contract. But yeah, if you can get him in that 5.5, 6 mil range, that's if Perfetti wants to sign. His agent's probably saying like, take the 3 mil right now, and then we do well, that'll be an 8 instead of a 6.
Yeah,
So-
I completely agree with that. Is the number, like, it'll be at least 8. And yeah, to your point of those contracts rarely age poorly. Off the top of my head, Spencer Knight hasn't been a great contract handed out to a young guy, but he's a goalie, so there's and unseen OCD issues coming up there. Who's a guy who got too big a contract in the last 5 years, a potential contract, we'll call it, where now it looks awful and untradeable? Like I can think of a lot that we're going to wait on, Beniers, Jarvis, the deals signed this year where you will have to wait and see, but I would have absolutely
like
signed
Powers.
those contracts.
But you have to sign like those are first and second overall guys too. So it's
Got to
like,
sign those.
they have the pedigree and they're part of your franchise. So,
Yeah, I can't think of too many bad contracts on younger guys with term. That's the way the league is going, and I just think that with every non 7 or 8 year contract the GM signs to a guy like Harley or like Perfetti, you're falling behind the competition because the competition is going to give them 8 years. They're going to give them, and all those the contract's going to be fine. You're not talking about Darnell Nurse here. It's $7 million.
yeah, the only one that I can think of, it's only not great because of an injury. Josh Norris. So that's
that's
the
a good
only one. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was early. He was a 30-goal guy, but yeah, just bad shoulders. So
yeah, and in all fairness, he still has another year before we call that a total loss. If he gets through this year healthy and scores 30 goals, it's still fine. But he is an injury risk for sure now. Next up, we want to talk about the opening week of the preseason here. So there are, we got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We got 4 more days left of preseason. Matvei Michkov is your leading scorer of the preseason. And I think we want to talk about predictions for the season, who he's going to be playing with. And so far, he's 2 points per game. What's your prediction for the season, buddy? I tweeted out yesterday that it was funny. After he got his first goal, I tweeted Michkov's really going to score 80 points this year, hey? And then he scored the OT winner, and I was like, I might be underestimating that.
dude's a total gamer. He needed the NHL versus the K. He just loves the pressure. The teammates are loving him. Did you watch that game yesterday?
I saw the second half of it, and I caught the overtime goal, and yeah, the whole squad like ripped his head off afterwards. It was amazing. And they were so happy for him. It was awesome to see.
They were bugging him for not scoring yet before he got the empty netter. So they're really embracing him in there. And from everything you hear about his KHL teammates, like, dude just wants to win. He loves hockey. That's just it. He might look a little immature out there when he was an 18-year-old and having some hissy fits, but they just kept saying, it's like, he just wants to win. He just wants to win. That's it. That's all he cares about. And so, his preseason has been really good. Some of the plays he makes, the passes, uh, just the stop ups. Like he's coming as advertised. You're gonna sound like a
I
broken
disagree with
record
that.
here.
I disagree with that. He's not
What
coming as advertised.
better?
He's better than advertised. In all honesty, he is. He had a lot of perceived warts in his game, and
Sure.
what you should. What I don't know if you've been watching this, but there's a couple people on Twitter who are putting together his whole game's worth of highlights, and like when they get a supporting cast there, he might lead the league in assists, and his shot was supposed to be his best asset. But like he is just an insane playmaker. Kid has eyes in the back of his head. He made a pass yesterday. He was a foot or two. I'm sure you saw this. He was a foot or two behind the goal line and put it in about a 6-inch gap between the D-man stick and the goalie stick. 6-inch gap through the crease over to Konecki, who didn't finish the play. But like that was a 10-year veteran play that he was making. Like, and that's why I say I'm not sure he's coming as advertised. He might be better than we thought, which means I know for you and I, we talked about him as a 1A, 1B to Bedard all along. Certainly Bedard as the 1A, and that's fair, and probably I stick to that. But like, I'm not sure that he won't outpace Bedard's scoring pace last year in terms of point per game. Now, he does have a better supporting cast than Bedard had, but like this kid is going like I'd be shocked if he doesn't hit at least 65 points, which would be a very good season. Like if you look at the guys who have been the leading rookie scorers in the last few years, you know, you had Kaprizov had 51, Hughes had 53, Elias Pettersson had 66. Barzal was the last guy to clear 70. He had 85. Like Austin Matthews had 69 points. And I'm saying here, well aware of that and saying I think that Michkov is going to clear 70.
Yeah, I'd have to see the pace. So like what they would have done in 82 games for all those guys. But yeah, I agree with everything you say. I always like to do you know, I love comps. I love to like look at guys and that, and it's like I was trying to like figure out who does he remind me of out there. It's just and a couple of Flyers came to mind actually. Any
Flyers.
guesses? Any guesses on guys that
Well, Giroux.
yeah, Giroux's one.
Giroux would be one. And like, you know, before he came over, I would have thought maybe he's got like Simone Gagne in him. But I don't think Gagne ever had this
He
multifaceted arsenal that he does. I don't remember Gagne being a passer like this, but he could certainly score with the best of
the
them.
guy I'm thinking of, the other guy, turned Gagne into a 50 goal scorer.
Peter Forsberg?
He's got a little Peter Forsberg did him.
Ah, that's okay. We don't have to go into this. He's smart like Forsberg. I'll give you
Yeah.
that. But like
He doesn't
Forsberg
have
was
that
such
physical
yeah.
element.
When you
He
when I
doesn't
think
have
of
the
Peter Forsberg, I think of him sticking the puck between his feet
Yeah.
and just bulldozing guys. Like Michkov will never do that. But if you remember that
brain,
one flip
the
pass
playmaking.
that Forsberg made, like on the backhand from his own blue line for a breakaway, that's a play I could see Michkov making.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, Giroux definitely. Kucherov you hear a lot of, and I'm like, yeah, that's definitely close to. So
Yeah,
it's
he's a little baby Kucherov for
yeah.
sure.
But yeah,
And you know the
this-
crazy thing is we really like his OT winner was a shot yesterday, but I still can't wait to see him shoot more. I'm not sure where I am on his shot yet in terms of like, is he a top 30 shot? Is he a top 50 shot? But like when he has shot, it's looked good, but it hasn't been the best part of his game. It's been the playmaking and the vision and the patience and the board work. Like he is the best rookie I have ever seen. And obviously this is preseason, whatever. But like behind the net, like I don't remember a rookie coming in and being that calm and confident and making the types of plays he's making from behind the net. It's insane. He's so comfortable back there.
yeah, there's like this almost like clairvoyance to him when he's on the ice, where you can kind of read the play and
Yeah.
knows what's going to happen before it happens. It's like, okay, if I just stop here, hold it for 2 seconds, he's going to come to me, and I just dish it over a little bit. So yeah, no, it's fun. We're lucky, Philly. That's a great market for him to be in. Fans have embraced him. He's
And
he's legit.
And great news for them is he's looked really good with Luchenko, who
Yeah.
is not looking like such a reach at all anymore. This kid looks like little Patrice Bergeron out there. Like he has been so good, so fast, very composed, little rough around the boards, but I mean he's 18. But they might have already found themselves one of Michkov's future line mates there, which is just fantastic news for them.
Well, the great thing there is that uh, they'll be able to bring him up at his pace too. They won't have to rush him into the lineup. They have the manpower to sustain everything for the Flyers. He can go back to junior this year. I reckon he'll get a couple games, couple weeks in the show, earn a paycheck. Get a couple games and travel with the team and train, learn the habits of the NHL, and then he'll take that back to the O and probably play for Team Canada, the World Juniors, and then he'll come into camp next year and hit the ground running.
Yeah,
But he's great.
he's looking
Yeah,
very good. So let's get
yeah.
to it then. Let's talk point predictions. You think Matvei Michkov is going to score?
I think pace wise, he will be point per game pace.
Point per game. And I am going to say 75
So
pace.
same.
It's not the same. I will absolutely be referring to this later when I'm right. 82 seems a pinch high, but who knows? We'll see where it goes. Next up, we are going to talk about, Yakemchuk might be the second most impressive prospect in preseason play. It's a stretch, but probably the second most impressive D prospect, I'll give you.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. Like that.
Unbelievable.
The poise and the confidence he has with the puck as an 18-year-old in preseason. It's just dude is not afraid to make mistakes, and he's so confident in his ability that OT goal, like in his first ever NHL game. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the end to end from
Yeah.
like behind his own net. It was,
Yeah.
and the funny thing is, and it's a preseason game, and it's Willie Nylander. No, it was Mitch Marner. He got at the end there. He really only made one move. He skated past the first guy. He made a nice move at the blue line, and he made a nice move to finish. But he didn't go through many people, and Marner was just flopping away at him. But man, that was a big balls kind of move, a big boy finish. He looks very good. He might play this year, and is already looking like he might have dropped further than he should have in the draft. So Yakemchuk looks very, very good. Congratulations to Ottawa. Don't give him don't blow the contract with him.
Well, wait till you start to see his bomb of a shot too.
Yeah, we still haven't seen his shot, which is the best
Yeah.
part of his game, or was
He's
supposed to be.
he's very much like a modern day, or not even modern day. He's like a Dion Phaneuf prospect coming into the league. He's just,
Ooh, good one. I was gonna say
big
Shea
body.
Weber, but that's probably too high a bar.
yeah, for defensive ability. Like it's just the offense is there, defense will be okay, but Shea Weber was just like shut down.
Enough.
the whole time.
That's so funny. One of I was never really much of a poster on HF boards, but I remember back in 2000, I don't know what would it have been, like 2006 or 7. I posted on HF and I said Calgary should trade Dion Phaneuf for Drew Doughty for the pick that's being like second overall. And I have never been torched so hard on a message board in my life. Everyone and their dog was like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Dion Phaneuf is the future of hockey. He's going to be a top 3 D-man forever. He's going to be a Norris candidate for the rest of his life. You're insane. But I love Doughty so much. I took Doughty, and this was stupid. It's 20 years ago. I took Doughty over Stamkos in a fantasy hockey league. Now that was dumb. But I was like, Drew Doughty's got 80, 90 points in him. And I think he would have had he not become such a perfect all-around player. If he had been on a more offensive team, we might have seen a bit more value. But anyways, I got absolutely torched for suggesting that Drew Doughty would be a better fit for the Flames. And, Phaneuf fell off a cliff and then got traded to Toronto shortly after for like Matt Stajan and, come on, who was it? It was such a bad package. Do you
Ian
remember?
White.
Ian White, that's right. Good memory, dude. Adam Fantilli hat trick. Yeah, so we've talked a little bit about we're cooling a little bit on Fantilli through no fault of his own due to this supporting cast being underwhelming in Columbus, but he had himself a game, and Columbus has actually put together a couple very strong games here towards the end of the preseason.
Yeah, Johnson's got 4 points in 3 games, and yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I don't see it sustainable this year. I think they're a bottom 5 team. But yeah, it's fine. It'll be fine. Like these guys won't really develop into the players potentially that they were drafted to be for a couple seasons, uh but yeah, that's just the way she goes in Columbus right now. So no.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Columbus is in the bottom 5 or 6 for the next couple of years, which I really struggle to see how they're not, they'll find a winger or two for Fantilli, and he'll still be an 80 to 90 point player who can score 50 goals once or twice. I mean, he looked really good in that game. You can't like everything he did was right. He was as advertised, big, great shot, smart getting to the puck, good defensively. So he's looked really good. It's strictly an issue of supporting cast for us at this point.
Like he's quality player like when Tyler Seguin came into the league. Like he's that kind of quality skilled forward, skilled center. So he just needs some players to come. I hope they didn't miss on that Lindstrom pick this year. I hope his health gets better and he has a decent year in the dub. But
Man, I'm sure we've discussed this, but when I'm creating my fantasy hockey league drafts for my own scouting purposes, as soon as Columbus takes a guy, he generally falls 2 to 5 spots on my list. That's like it's if Anaheim takes a guy,
yeah.
he moves up. If Columbus takes the guy, he moves down. Their development stinks or traditionally has stunk. Their drafting has been questionable. I mean, you took Carlson over Fantilli last year in our draft, which was like smart, but had Anaheim taken Fantilli, maybe you don't. Like it's Columbus is just such a graveyard.
That would have been a tough one. I think I was going Leo all the way. Because then he would have been played with Johnny, and I would have been like, yeah, it's still good situation. Funny thing with Columbus, Shane Malloy, who used to be a scout, and he has hockey prospect podcast too, and I think he's on Sirius as well. He said like statistically, you don't if someone gets drafted by Columbus, you don't take them in a fantasy league. And so he was in leagues.
Shane Malloy is my alter ego. I do a podcast without you where I talk about fading Columbus players. I'm glad you listened to it though. What did you think? Was I okay?
Yeah, actually, really good. Surprisingly.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when I'm not arguing with you. Hey.
Yeah.
Next up, you want to talk about the Flames prospects? Yeah, go nuts. You can talk about them.
Hey, they're doing great. Coronado's looking sharp. The shot's looking good. Samuel Hanzek is actually tied with Michkov for leading scorer.
He is, yeah.
Leading preseason scorer. And then Hunter Brushkevich is having a solid preseason, almost to the point where he could make the Flames, but he's probably better off to have one more year. And I don't think he's AHL eligible this year. I haven't checked on that. But yeah, no, like undefeated in the preseason for the Flames. Like, no, do I think they're turning the corner? No, but it's promising. These young players are playing well, and yeah, that's all you can look for in Flameland when everything's looking pretty bleak for the future, especially when a true like lifelong Flame fan would be like, let's just go San Jose route right now.
Absolutely.
Let's just we need to like in 2 years we got Gavin McKenna coming up. This year's James Hagen. We got to get one of those picks, even if it's a top 5 pick this year. Like you need some back-to-back top 5 picks. So,
yeah, it's funny. We there has been some discussion in a couple leagues I'm in. I think I'm in 7 leagues, and 2 of them are very anti-tank. The one we're in being the most, and the other being just another league that hates to see it. I the number one comment you hear when a league is firing up is they're looking for realism in a cap league, right? They're like, we want it to be like this and that. And then people trade too much and they don't like that. And people tank and they don't like that. But it's like, guys, the trading thing I understand, but fantasy hockey is for trading as far as I'm concerned. I wouldn't have half as much fun if you ever put a trading limit on me. But like tanking is how the best and smartest GMs get better. You know, you look at what and I'm blanking on his name right now. Chicago. Shoot. Kyle Davidson. You look at what Davidson's doing in Chicago. It's genius. The guy has all of his cap free in 2 years when he's going to want to be rocking and rolling. There's no one they won't be able to afford to sign. They got Connor Bedard. They added a top defenseman this year. Like, it's the perfect rebuild. It's not hard to do. Do that. Stink. Load up on picks. Don't rush them. Do not rush them. And then rise. You know, it's like it's a 3 to 5 year process. And for any NHL GM near the bottom to say they're not tanking, I mean, half the time it's a smokescreen. And for fantasy leagues to try and not allow it is just crazy to me, because it's like, how do you want guys to get better? Like, you get a free elite player if you're bad enough. Like, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you do that? Sure, you might get one at 8, but at 1, you're almost always getting one. You know, tank, do it.
Well, you had intel on San Jose with Mike Greer when he went in and talked to the owner when he was applying for the GM job.
Yeah, that's right. I was working with Remenda, and Greer said he went in unapologetically and said, "This is going to be a 5-year rebuild. No one is safe. I'm looking 100% at youth. I'm not looking to win any games, and we want to get like 4 top 5 picks." They loved it. Off they go. And you look at where they are today. They've done a heck of a job. Someone we're not talking about today, but we have mentioned, Cagnoni is still looking awesome in San Jose. And that's a guy who was pretty far down the radar of anyone who watches San Jose. They're doing it right. My only comment about San Jose is I think if it was me and I was doing a rebuild, barring an impossible to pass player like a Bedard or whatever, I would take D earlier in the rebuild. Because forwards can step in 1 to 2 years and be impact players, whereas D-men generally, they, you know, that 3 to 5 year gap is kind of what you're looking at. So if I took over, say, Utah today, or who's worse than Utah? There's Montreal. Well, they're already stacked. Anyways, if I took over one Fiend team, I would be targeting D in the first year or 2 of the tank, as long as the draft allowed for that. This coming year might not be the best for it, but yeah, Sharks have done a great job. Their scouting staff has done a great job. They have depth all the way up and down the lineup. The Askarov trade was genius, and now they just let guys develop for a couple of years before they become a real threat.
Yeah, and it's Bay Area too, so guys will want to come play there. It's great.
Yeah, can't go wrong. I'm still looking forward to the Sharks 2.0. God, I hated the Thornton Marlowe Sharks so much. Cristal is looking good. Will he get regular season games? I'm gonna say he'll get his 9. He's been one of the biggest surprises of the preseason to me, because his skating was such a question mark, but he's been keeping up with he must have just gone to work on power skating all summer, because he's looked.
Yeah, like under
average.
18s, World Juniors, like he was always just left more to be desired whenever you watched him in higher levels. And then and now at preseason level, he's crushing it.
Yeah, well, and they have room for him, you know? Like, that's the thing, is Washington, he could take that second line center. Who's he competing against? You got Connor McMichael, you got Hendrix Lapierre. Like, neither of those guys are entrenched enough that Cristal couldn't step in and take that slot. So,
well, especially if he can't get sent down to the A. So it's just if they want to make that move with a little bit of youth there, and then you got Leonard coming at the end of the year too. So if he turns into a player, that's a big boon for Washington, because they need one of those like riskier picks to pan out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Seamus Casey, oh man, this sucks. This guy is so good. He's such a good player. Every time I've ever watched Seamus Casey, he's been one of my favorite players on the ice. Every single time, every game. But he's so buried in Jersey. He his size has not been an issue in the preseason, but like this guy's Nemec 2.0. He's there, he's dominating, he's getting big minutes, he looks amazing. He'll probably play for them at least until Hughes comes back, but man, like someone needs to smarten up and get him in a trade, because he could come to another team and be the next Brock Faber.
Yeah, it's tricky because what does Jersey need to trade him?
Nothing. Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, it's like,
Nothing.
it's like what are you going to offer them to be like, okay? But they're sitting there with this asset, and it's like, well, we don't need him. Yeah, so
They've got more of that too, though. They've got Gritsyak coming.
Yeah.
Like I think that his contract is up next year. It might be 2 years on him, and then they've got Haminaho, and this kid. I've been watching him since last year. Unfortunately, I wasn't able. I think I have stock in him in like 2 leagues. But he has 10 points in 7 games to start the season this year. 4 goals, 6 assists. Last year, he had 31 points in the same league in 46 games. Had himself a great U20 last year, 6 points in 7 games. Like and he's again second rounder. Like Jersey just doesn't miss on their picks right now. It's bonkers. And yeah, they've got an embarrassment of riches. To be honest, I was looking at their roster just before I did this draft today, and I was like, okay, so obviously you're targeting the top line, and they're stacking it. And it's Bratt, Hughes, and Mir. They've got Hamilton back, and he's healthy, but the rest of the lineup isn't all that strong right now. In a couple of years, they might be stronger and be in a better cap situation when these guys come over. Like it's insane. It's absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
So yeah, embarrassment of riches.
They just got to make that next step. They got to get to the playoffs. So
I think they'll be there this year. If they had even average goaltending last year, they would have been in the top 5 in the East. Was the stat I saw? Like just average goaltending in the East, they would have been top 5 in the East. So
yeah, it should be Markstrom bad year last year. Okay, so it's good year this year.
It's a good year for Markstrom. He wasn't terrible last year. Yeah, we'll see. I think he's gonna have a good year. He's a guy I wish I could have gotten my hands on in more leagues because I think he's gonna have a big year. I think it'll be similar to like Georgiev of 2 years ago, 3 years ago, where it's like he's a 7 goalie on a 10 team, so he's just fantasy wise worth a lot.
Yeah.
Jackson Blake looking like he will make the team. That's true, man. I've loved this guy for a while. Unfortunately, I traded
wheels just like his old man.
He's so fast, dude.
Just like his old man. Yeah.
He is such a good player. Just like his old man. Yeah, I completely agree. Carolina needs one of him or Nadeau to be able to handle some top 6 time this year, and so far Blake looks like he's going to be that guy. Great situation with Carolina. When you think you're giving the spot to Nadeau and someone else outplays him, like fantastic. Hey, go. Like we're happy to put Nadeau in the AHL. Do your thing.
Yeah, I think they would rather that just because he is a year younger, and
for sure
he's made so many jumps from the BC League to the NCAA. Yeah, the NHL. That's like from BCHL to NHL in 2 seasons.
2 years.
Is too much. Way too much.
Well, it's a big leap. I'm not one to say it's necessarily too much, but it would be a fairly meteoric.
Who's done it like and succeeded? Like Kyle Turris is the only one I could think of that did well. Like Newhook tried to do that, and that didn't work. Tyson Jost tried to do it, that didn't work. So it's he needs a year in the A. He should have stayed in college for another year, but whatever. So Jackson Blake looking good. I just wonder if the Canes will slow play it a little bit and kind of keep those two together in the AHL as a plan to bring it up as a pair eventually too. So
we'll the issue with that is that the Canes lineup is sort of in shambles right now. They're going to be getting Kishin this year, which is great for their decor, but like they're
probably not until playoffs at best with
Kishin. But end of the year he's coming. Right now their second and third lines is comprised of some combination of Roslovich, Kotkaniemi, Nietzsche, Martinuk, Stahl, and Carrier. Like that's ugly, man. In Carolina they have a ton of cap space. I think what's going to happen is they're going to give Blake some rope, and depending on how he does with it, that'll determine how quickly they look to use some of that cap space via trade, because this is not the lineup that we're going to see them go into the playoffs with. That much is for certain. How Blake or Nadeau sort of look is going to determine how quickly they have to do that, I think. We talked about Jetlachenko already. We talked about Hamina already. Noah Ostlund. Yeah, man. This, I should listen to more Sabre fans podcasts, because I'd love to hear these guys talk about them. But like, here's the reference I'll use. My favorite band is Tool. I love Tool. They're so good. Every 6 months, I have a new favorite Tool song. My whole life. Every 6 months, a new song that has existed for 10, 15, 20 years comes along and is like, this is your favorite song now. Here you go. It must be the same thing with Sabres fans, man. Like, they must have a new favorite, this guy's our best prospect, every month or two. Like, when Hellenius got drafted and early on in the rookie camp, they were like, he's the best player we got. And now Ostlund's the best player they got. And they said Kulich was amazing in the preseason. Like, what an embarrassment of young riches these guys have. And it would be really interesting. This would be a really great sign of, like, how good are you at actually predicting what a player looks like. If we should do an episode where we take the top 5 Sabres prospects and say 5 years from now, this will be the list. The 1 through 5, because I don't have a clue what it would be. I don't have a freaking clue, man. The opportunity or the lack thereof, the positional eligibility, like, I have no idea which one of these guys is going to be the best player right now between Ostlund, Kulich, Hellenius. I'll include Benson in that list. Like, they've got that kid over in Russia absolutely crushing it right now. The poor I just
Papa
Roach, yeah.
Yeah.
Papa Mau, Papa Mau. No, we're talking about Poltapov. Is that how you say it?
Poltapov.
Yeah, Poltapov. He's like 1.3 points per game right now. His second round pick, 33rd overall from 2021. Like, they just, such an embarrassment of riches. Ostlund was amazing. Was the last night or Friday?
It was last
Friday.
night.
Was last night? Dude, what a game.
Sweet back passes.
Ridiculous, yeah.
Well, he's looked good World Juniors.
He's looked good at every level.
Yeah. And your Tool analogy, it's like, imagine, like, if you could only fit 10 of those songs on a playlist. That's it. And those are the only ones you could ever listen to, are those 10 songs. And it's like, so yeah, it's tricky. There's only so much ice. I'm waiting for them to start to package these guys. I don't know if they will.
But again, you know what?
I have a feeling like Kevin Adams is kind of similar to me as a GM, whereas
like he's never won anything.
That, and he just loves his prospects so much. Like, I can't trade them. What are you talking about?
Good job staying on target there. It would be tough, and similar to Jersey is, okay, so say you're Kevin Adams for a day, and you're a great guy to swap in because your guys' resume is like friggin' identical. What's the first position you look to fill? They've already made the Byram deal, and that was a smart deal-ish. Like, you think about it, it's like, say you're set for wingers forever. Do you take Cousins and Ostlund and package him for an elite number 2C? And if so, who is that? And you're leaving some value on the table with Cousins. You don't know what you're walking away from with Ostlund. It's like, what's the first move? I don't even know what the target is. They talked about scoring wingers a lot, but it's like, guys, you have 6 top 6 wingers at least right now. You just have to wait on them.
No, they are in a holding spot now, and then it's just, yeah, like I think ideally Cousins is your third line center. I think I talked about this last pod. Third line center.
$7 million is too much for a 3C, man.
Yeah, but not an elite 3C. It depends if Cousins' defensive game is elite or not. I'm not sure. Being on a bad team in Buffalo does not hold much water to him being a great defensive center. And so, yeah, I think they just got to hold on. And like what Adams is trying to do is trying to build in that bottom six, and that's the best he can do right now. It's just like these guys have to come together, and it might turn into magic. Remember last time Buffalo was good?
Yeah.
They were 3 deep.
It popped and then it was gone through free agency because
Yeah.
of the Rangers and Flyers.
Yeah,
Like
but they were
within a year.
3 lines
That was my
deep.
favorite hit of all
Briere,
time. Was
Drury,
that Brian
Roy.
Campbell? Yeah.
Briere, Drury, Roy, the three centers, and so the Brian Campbell on Umberger.
Umberger, yeah.
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 Well,
That was a fun team. That was such a shame. As an Oilers fan pre-cap, I felt so bad for the Sabres because I felt that pain where it's like you build this team and then you just get poached. It was so awful. We are going to talk about. I'm going to let you handle this one, Nikolai Kovalenko. Take it away. This is a guy we've been looking at for a while.
Yeah, he's looked good in the KHL the last couple of years. He was a draft pick. I think he was a 2002 draft pick for the Avalanche, but yeah, he's come in and he's looked good. So he plays a gritty two-way game, but his board work is fantastic. He's great in the cycle, and he's made some really slick plays where he kind of held up. He made a play on Miro Heiskanen the other night where it was a 2-on-2, I believe, and then he hit the brakes, kind of delayed and went into the slot, and Heiskanen couldn't stay with him, and he made a slick little pass over, and the guy didn't score, but yeah, no, I've been really impressed. He fits that mold that Colorado loves in like the Landeskog, Nichushkin, those type of like power forward-ish offensive players. So keep an eye out for him when it comes time for your drafts here, because he could fill in just because Colorado does have some holes in their top six. Like you got Lekkonen's out, Landeskog, I'm still not sure when he's coming in. And then Nichushkin's due back in November. So there's opportunity there for Kovalenko to come in here and maybe make some noise. Like as a rookie coming over, it might be a bit much, but
well, he's 24 though, isn't he, or 23?
Yeah, he's not he's no spring chicken, but just coming to a new league and all that, and just if he gets thrust into a top six role. So, but I know I think he's a slick player. He's more than just like a gritty two-way guy. Like he's got some definite skill there. Did you see how he kind of like twisted up Heiskanen last night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, he's a perfect replacement for Landeskog.
Yeah,
he does all the same things that Landeskog does. Obviously, at a second round pick level rather than a second overall, but he's good. He brings a lot of what you guys don't have in your top six right now. So I think he'll be a great fit, and he'll be an astute pickup for anyone who snags him late, at least until Lekkonen is back, and maybe longer, depending on what happens with Nikishkin and whatnot, or Nikushin.
Yeah. When I think his dad actually won the cup with the Avalanche too.
Andre?
Yeah.
Is his dad Andre Kovalenko?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
I should have known that. Maybe I did. Did I know that?
Yeah.
We talked about this?
Very first father-son to suit up for the Avalanche.
Oh, such a shame you guys never had Yan, you know? That would have been something. We talked about Dylan Holloway, 2 goals last night. He looked good. He looked good all around, man. He blocked a couple shots. He had some hits. This guy,
it's a heartbreaker, man.
At some point when I'm ready to do this conversation without screaming,
there's so many layers of Ryan's love for Dylan Holloway that it goes deep.
Well, I was at the game 4 when he had a hat trick in that game, in the Cup final. I've been a big fan since. So when we drafted him, if I'm not mistaken, I really wanted Jarvis, and Jarvis went the pick before us to Carolina, and then we took Holloway next, and I was like, okay. And then I read up on him, and I was like, okay. And then I saw him play a bit in NCAA. I was like, okay, like the kid's a player. He got screwed hard by Woodcroft his whole time in Edmonton. He was given No room for mistakes. He threw a blind pass up the middle in the first game of the season when our went into our net for a goal, and after that, like he got no opportunity until we rolled over to Knobloch, and Knobloch trusted him more, let him play more. And in all honesty, Holloway was like outside of McDavid. Holloway was right there as our most important forward in the last two rounds of the playoffs. He brought energy every single shift. He might not have been the highest scoring player, but he led in hits all the way. Um, when given ice time with offensive guys, he produced. Like he's going to be such a good player. I think second line is his floor, and I still see a world where he might end up being a line one power play one. That's I'd give it like a 20% shot, but he's going to be awesome in St. Louis. He's going to steal second line ice. He'll probably start on the third line as he has been so far, but he's going to end up on the second line. And I think that he was probably told as much, and that's how they got him to sign the contract because he didn't want to be on the third line here. And yeah, he's looking good. I've got him in a few leagues. I'm holding him in those leagues because I think he's massively undervalued right now. His points per game projection at Fantrax is nonsense. Like they have him as a bottom 15% forward, and it's just like you're gonna get value there. He's gonna be good. He's gonna be good in St. Louis. He's gonna fit them well. And really, that whole what St. Louis did this summer was such a organizational win for them. They were lacking depth, and they were lacking the in between where their best players are and where their youngest players are. They kind of had a dead zone in the middle, and now they've got Holloway and Broberg at that 22 to 24 age range, both ready to contribute in top 4 and top 9 capacities. And I'm still so upset about how that all played out. It's to lose those two for essentially Victor Arvidsson is just, it might go down as one of the biggest bumbles since Reinhardt, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how, especially Holloway, how that all went down. Like the contract was right in line with what you would pay a guy like that anyways. Whether they wanted more veteran depth in Arvidsson and cap flexibility than to have both, I'm not sure. I don't get it. Maybe they just didn't think a offer sheet was possible. So
No, he told them it was. That's the crazy thing. It got worse. So after we didn't match, and it kind of became clear we weren't going to match in the last day or two, Holloway put out a video, I think like 3 or 4 days later, and he basically said, we gave the Oilers a number that was really fair and less than what we took in St. Louis, and they basically didn't respond. And then and at the time the Oilers were looking for a new GM because they were holding out for, of all people, like they were holding out for this guy from Chicago. So maybe that's why they didn't respond. But in any event, Holloway's camp, his email basically was left unread. And then he reached out again and said, I have an opportunity for an offer sheet. It's north of 2. Can we talk? And didn't hear back from them based on his account. So it's not good. Like it's
taking
really
a page
like,
out of Don Sweeney's book or something, or what?
yeah, I don't understand it. Like the Broberg, I understand. The guy requested a trade last year. Some might say he hadn't earned more of a shot than he got before the playoffs. I would say we would have been smart to have seen what he was before the deadline. But Broberg, I understand, and the number is a lot bigger. But letting Holloway walk for $2 million in a third round pick is just such an insanely bad organizational move. And I don't care about the cap space at the deadline. I do. It'll come in handy. But like, make another move to make this work. $2 million is a good contract for 2 years for that guy. You'll be happy to have it. And further to that, Jeff Jackson was an absolute rock star and a hero on free agency day, and we all felt good and great and grand and like, why are we looking for a GM anyways? But it turns out that free agency cost us our only 2 young contributing players, and that's a loss in my books, especially considering the fact that Arvidsson misses time. Like The guy misses at least 30% of every season. He's a good player, but like there is a decent chance that he's not healthy for the playoffs. And now you don't have the guy who led your team in hits, who was up there in terms of forward scoring, like energy every time. Now we don't have him. Now we don't have Broberg. Like, I don't, it's such a massive loss on the organization to have gone out and done the Arvidsson deal without having this stuff figured out. And I know what they thought. They thought, well, we strong armed McLeod for 2 years in a row and he took whatever we gave him. These guys will too. But like that's not the world we live in 2 years later. It just isn't. And if a guy calls you and tells you he has an offer sheet, man, pick up the phone. Like I don't understand any of it. I want to.
Oh, looks like we lost Ryan there.
Nah, I'm still here.
Oh,
I
there he
just
is. Oh, okay.
paused it. I'm so
He's
angry.
had
I
enough.
turn off my
He had
camera.
enough. He had to scream into a pillow.
Ah, why? Anyways, Holloway's gonna have a good year. Pick him up. Mason Laurie. Oh wow, there's a note here about Mason Laurie. Did we miss him in the top 50 prospects? I wouldn't say so.
He's a
I
little
don't
old.
think
He's a little old, but
I don't care that he's old. I don't think he's a top 50 prospect.
I think he's a fantastic offensive defenseman. To the point where I think he could possibly run Boston's power play someday, maybe even this season. So I think there's a lot there for him. And yeah, if you're in a deeper league and need defensemen, I would take a good long look at him.
So sorry, repeat what you said. You think he would have been in the top 50?
No, I think I think we'll see what he does in a full season this year after half a season last year. But I think he does have potential to be like a 50-point defenseman. It's like,
yeah, his high in university was 32 points in 40 games, and then in his rookie year in the AHL, he had 16 points in 21 before he came out to Boston. So there's certainly something there. He's big, and I always agree that if you've got a more offensively inclined defenseman, you should be giving your Charlie McAvoys and your Drew Doughty's time away from the power play to go do what they obviously do a lot better, which is defend and keep them fresh for the playoffs, man.
well, yeah, you look at Charlie last year in the playoffs. It's just like, I don't know, maybe he was worn out and tired, long season, all that, but yeah, he was just making mistakes left and right.
Dude, he faded 5 weeks before the playoffs. I had him, and him and Dobson, I had those two. And I won the regular season title. And then we got into the playoffs, and these guys were giving me 0 points per game for like weeks on end. I had a strong enough team to survive it, but like they almost cost me a championship last year because both of them just went on the back of a milk carton as soon as the playoffs started last year.
Well, and same as Doughty because they're such emotional guys too, and they play such a high tempo physical game as well. That's like, to do that at 22 minutes a night for 80 games in the season, that takes a toll out of you. And then come playoff time where you have to ramp it up even more. So it's just it's not very often where everything can come together. It's not like Heiskin and Makar, who they're so smooth and they don't hit a lot or they don't engage a ton. Everything's all very methodical and they just use their legs and their skill. These guys are physical. McAvoy loves to get in the middle of it, rough it up a bit. And so I agree in that sense where it's like they would probably be, and Laura actually might be a better offensive player too. So it's something where it's just like, what are we worried about here? Just kind of like McAvoy's name power or his ego or whatever. It's like, it's about winning games. So.
And ultimately, it should be about winning games in the playoffs. I don't understand why LA rolls Doughty out the way they do. I've been talking about it for 2 years now. He and Kopitar looked so tired in our series last year in the first round. It's just like, guys, why are you playing this guy 24, 25 minutes a night in the regular season? He's over 30. you're giving him power play minutes. Like it makes no sense to me whatsoever. You look at what has happened with goaltending splits in the last 10 years. There's no such thing as a 70-game goalie anymore. That like 60-game goalies are becoming less and less frequent because they play better in the playoffs when they didn't play 70 games in the regular season. Well, you don't think that the minutes add up for defensemen? And I can't help but wonder if the reason we see this fantasy cliff right around the fantasy hockey playoffs is because these guys are sort of like revving down for the playoffs. So like, okay, give it a rest, stay healthy. We got 30 days to make it through before the playoffs start. So let's just make sure we get through it. Playoffs are given, like off we go. Anyways, we'll see what happens. That's all we got today. We do have some coattail stuff we could talk about, but I actually want to focus really hard on lineups next week. So we'll roll this into that if it's okay with you.
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot to talk about in the final round of camp cuts and whatnot. So thanks for joining us again today. We appreciate your time and your ears. Hopefully your drafts are going well, and we will see y'all next weekend.
Good luck in the drafts. Woo.
Yeah.
Next Friday. Next Friday. Holy man.
5 days, buddy.
That's amazing.
Have a good week, y'all.
All right. See y'all.